Hello and welcome to a new series in KSP Rp-1 with KSP 1.7.3. So I'm going to title this series "May the Code Be With You." And if you saw the previous series that I had in the channel, it's going to be the same thing, just hopefully without so many failures and or bugs. So let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, so first things about difficulty. The RP1 says it's balanced for moderate difficulty. However, uh, I have installed, I think this doesn't include Kerbalism, which one of the things Kerbalism does is, oh well, we do have, I'll take a look at these here. It removes the instant science experiments, and I was actually like testing and install everything and noticed that even the temperature scan takes like 5 minutes. So unless your first sounding rocket manages to stay in flight for more than 5 minutes, you're not going to get any science out of the first launch. So it's adding some complications. Then the personal challenges that I'm going to be setting up for myself, which are the same. I'll go through these again for anybody that did not see the last series. So I'm going to go for normal. I will, however, yes, no reverting flights. Quick loading, I like to leave it on just in case I'm starting encountering bugs, but I always forget to quick save anyways. But yeah, I think everything else I will just leave like this. I will be using the COM network. I tested and using my own custom launch site, I was able to transmit science, so there shouldn't be any problems here. In advance, I will leave that Kerbal level up immediately, but also include the plasma blackout. I'm not sure if this would mess up with Krpc scripts, so I'm just going to not include this. Okay, interesting. So Kerbalism has solar storms. That is good. That will make things even more interesting. I do have the RO configs, so I don't know how much of this, like, allow engine failures. Huh. This is the thing, because I also have a test flight light installed. I don't know. I saw nothing in the wiki about these two conflicting with each other. So yeah, hopefully those won't cause problems. This is interesting. So when I was testing, I had failures, but now I noticed that test like launchpad failures, and now I noticed that test light. This is off by default. So I think what I'm going to do is yes, remove the, because I think no stock Kerbalism, it has failures for all parts like tank and Raptor and such, but with the RO configs, I think it just goes down to only engines. But then yeah, seems test light is redundant with it. So let's just for the moment, I'll take a look and see how how the engine failures work on Kerbalism. and maybe I'll get rid of test flight, but I'm more familiar with the predecessor test flight, so let's just keep this one on for the moment. Okay, so that's it. This is our space agency. AIM is for Agencia Espacial Mexicana, or Mexican Space Agency. So I'm role-playing this a little bit like from the perspective if Mexico would actually have like the ability to start its own space agency. I'm Mexican, so that's the whole thing. And we'll be launching from Cozumel, so let's get in. Okay, so here we are, and well, more setting up the career first. So we take the Rp-1. Yeah, this is okay. Yeah. Then I think before spending our points, we have to go to our actual launch site, because we will not be launching from Cape Canaveral. So yeah, here we already see we have information from Kerbalism about radiation and such. So we'll be launching from Cozumel in the Yucatan Peninsula. For the purpose of this role-playing, we will ignore any effects having a launch site would have with the coral reef, because for those of you who don't know, we have in the Caribbean coast of Yucatan the second largest coral reef in the world. So probably if they actually announced that they wanted to build a launch site near there, I would probably be opposed to it, even though I love space. Okay, so let's talk initial strategy. So for anybody that did not see the previous series, which pretty much nobody was watching, so I should assume that's the case. The whole idea, I've been learning programming, and also like how astrodynamics, how to calculate orbits and such. So the extra personal challenges for this series are, first of all, if it's anything that is unmanned, I am not allowed to control it except via program. Now I'm not, like for example, sending a command to do like the science experiment or such, like things are just like toggle on or off. I'm allowed to do, but things like steering, controlling the throttle and all of that, nope. Because that's how it works in real life. You don't have somebody in a joystick piloting remote control. A probe, it gets pre-programmed and the probe follows its own autopilot. So that's part one of the challenge. The second part is I am not allowed to use maneuver nodes. So I already have some scripts to calculate trajectories to the moon, and so I will be calculating the parameters for the moon and then have my code to execute said maneuvers without having to create a maneuver node. So, well, I expect, again, what happened with my last series, that the moment I have to actually get to the moon, instead of just doing things around Earth, it's going to be a very big pain and lots of failures. But hopefully I will do better this time. Okay, so let's see what we will need. We need the procedural wings. Also, one thing I'm going to do different is I'm going to do more airplane missions because I feel I'm going to be strapped a little bit for science at first. These are all our serious blocks that technically I don't think I should be able to unlock these ones. Not sure. Let's get vehicles because they're fun. I know I could just purchase everything, but it's actually 11,000 is a bit substantial at the start. So better be picky. Also, I have that in the VAB it only shows parts that I have unlocked, so hopefully this will keep the clutter to a minimum, like not buying everything, and I can always come back. Okay, so yeah, actual strategy. Originally I had thought to just make the simplest of sounding rockets to get the initial science and start researching something as soon as possible. But now I've seen what I mentioned before, that with Kerbalism, science experiments are not instantaneous anymore. So I have to make sure that my rocket will spend at least 5 minutes and ideally 10 minutes in the air to get all the initial experiments that I can do. So I'll go through these parts, see which ones will be necessary for this, and I'll come back in the VAB to show you everything I have. One thing before going to the VAB that I mentioned in my previous video, the last video from that series, that for this one I would look into the procedural engines that I saw, that apparently is a mod for this, but I was testing them and they seemed, I'm trying to look for a procedural engine here just to show you. So yeah, there's a procedural engines mod for Rp-1, but I was trying to make the same, the Rb engine, like just the same stats, and it was seriously expensive, even after tooling, so I think I'm not going to be using them. Okay, so here's our first rocket, very originally named SR-1 for sounding rocket 1. Yeah, I'm going to be making a bunch of these, so I'm not going to give them specific names. So anyways, I'm using mostly the parts from the Kerbalism mod for the Rb rocket. Unfortunately, the fins are considered non-Rp-1 and as such are in the node, because those fins have a much higher heat tolerance than these early procedural fins. So these ones, if I put them in the main rocket itself, like if I put another one, they're just going to burn off. So I'm not even going to bother, and I just going to hope it maintains. So these are angled, as you can see here, so hopefully it will, well, it will spin stabilize it, and hopefully it will maintain that stabilization even without fins during its flight. I have the tiny TM booster here just to give it the kick, and we have the, yeah, it's this one. This is the science unit for the Rb rocket. It has a thermometer, barometer, and then also the telemetry unit has telemetry analysis and supersonic flight analysis, which I think supersonic flight needs like 10 minutes, so we might not get that one, but we're going to try. I mean, it's already, it comes with the avionics unit anyway, so actually let me, do I have, I should have because it is recommended for RP1 to remove the costs of crash, because otherwise you're just going to eat through your entire budget with just flight simulations. But yeah, I need to figure out how to like remove the costs from it. I'm thinking whether or not I just want to launch it like this, or yeah, I'll just build it and we'll see. If nothing else, we'll get the first launch contract anyways. So I still haven't distributed my KSC points, so I have to vet it. But now I'm going to design an airplane because I also want to build an airplane while this is building, and I'll be back to show you that. Okay, so I'm back, and it's actually been a day because I was building my airplane, and when testing it, I noticed the runway fix for SS was not working, and yeah, it took a while to get that working. I even installed Kerbal constructs again to use one of her runways, but it was still not ideal, so I managed to reinstall all of IRSS to get it to work. And I had to set up the launch site again, so that was a very big pain. But anyway, so now we have a sounding rocket, well, two sounding rockets cooking, but obviously with the first level of the VAB, this one will not start until later. We have a trainer aircraft to go just fly around, nothing fancy, it's very slow aircraft, and maybe do some of the experiments that take longer time to complete around here, and just give some experience to our Kerbals and make sure they don't retire before we start actually doing manned space flight. I did notice, however, that I don't start with any upgrade points, so that's a bit rough. So what I'm going to do, something that was recommended to do at first, is to use rush build, which is not really that expensive. And as long as we don't get, I'm not going to do it for the airplane, that would be a bit more expensive, and I'm in no rush to start flying. What I really want to get going is the rockets, obviously. What is this plans? Not sure. Okay. So yeah, that bumped us down to 41. The thing is, one upgrade point is, I'm tempted to buy an upgrade point for the VAV, but it's half of my current budget, so maybe I'll let that be for now. Yeah, something. Wait, what's this? I can no longer change my settings. I wanted to reduce the maximum time warp. I used to be able to do that in... okay, well, let's just, hopefully it won't screw anything up. So I'll time warp till this is ready, and I'll see you in the launch pad. Wow, that was... Yeah, I'm glad, because on the previous series, time warping took so long, but I remember at some point reading that it's not recommended to time warp so fast with Principia, because it might mess up the orbits. So here's hoping that that didn't happen. Why is this flashing? So yeah, sorry, it's going to have to be a night launch, but if we get high enough, we could check out the skybox. So get this running. And no failures, excellent. Start. And of course, first launch, not really a complicated contract to get. I was going to talk about the rocket because it's not the rocket I showed up at first. I had to modify it. But yeah, it's not really easy to see. But basically, I had to add a fins to the upper stage to stabilize it. Just it being spin stabilized was not enough. I put the fins straight so that it wouldn't spin too fast and kill the engine. So of course now it means it has dampened out the initial rotation, but we're going fast enough that the fins alone should keep us straight. But look at all the contract completes. This is great. Something I forgot to check is if it started running the yes, it's running the experiment. So I noticed this the Rb unit, this supersonic flight analysis experiment, and it takes 30 minutes to run. That's going to be a very big pain to get. Because I think if I'm below the speed of sound it stops, and I don't know if I have to be atmospheric. I forgot to check that. So right now really what we're going to get is the telemetry analysis only, and recovery of a vessel. It's going to be the only science that we're going to get, and we're going to get more science with the airplane mission that we'll probably do next episode. But yeah, I'll come back when this is done. Okay, so we actually managed to get past the Kármán line. I'm also noticing I don't have my toolbar, the toolbar mod. It has some of the settings because I wanted to click the settings that the skybox would look a little bit nicer. Like really, we can't see any individual stars, which is just weird for night at this altitude. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, I remember last year having to tweak some settings. But I don't have my toolbar. I don't know why. But anyway, yes, we managed to get to the Kármán line. We're still halfway on the telemetry analysis. That's going to be a very big pain. But let's see. We got 20 kilometers, 900 meters per second, 30 kilometers, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100. Kármán line is one you have to accept, unfortunately, and I didn't. But for next rocket, and we're up to 62,000. Not too bad. Okay, yeah, I was wondering whether this science came from, but apparently it gets updated automatically, I guess. I don't know, I'll see when this finishes. Okay, I'll be back when science experiment finishes. And my game just crashed. Great. Okay, so I'm back after the crash. I'm just going to launch this and see if hopefully we don't get a failure. Yep, all good. And well, we already saw the launch, so I'll just come back with the science looking for 5 minutes. Yep, it's running. So yeah, I'll come back when we reach apogee and also when we get the science. Okay, never mind. I just got the test light notification that I got a loss of thrust. Of course. This is what really pisses me off, like, it worked the first time and now, but then there was the crash and now test light is striking. Is there something for test light? I don't know. Okay, either way I'll come back when. Let's see how far we reach. Okay, so we got to 83 kilometers, which is not so bad. The only thing that we missed from last time is the 100 kilometer altitude, possibly the 900 meters per second. I did not check. But the good news is I found a way to increase the brightness of the skybox. Did I go overboard? Possibly. I don't care. It looks cool. Okay, so I'll come back when this gets to the ground or the game crashes again. Okay, so we're in the bounciness of recovery. Normal recovery. Please. Oh, really? Do I have to? Thank you. That's going to be annoying if it keeps going. Okay, so we managed to get up to 6 science, which is not bad. So let's just spend them. And we're almost at 60,000 funds. I'm good with that. Okay, so better rockets is definitely priority, as well as this would give us the a rocket engine for airplanes. So for breaking sound barrier and such, it would be good. So yeah, that's definitely going to be our first one. I do want the supersonic planes. In this version of Rp-1, you don't get an upgrade point every time you unlock something, but rather every 20 science points. So I'm not going to do what I was doing of just going for the, like what I was doing on the previous series of just going for the lowest one. Oh. This would give us better tanks. there's like a new like first stage solid in these options. Can't get this, so we might as well get this. What does this lead into? Avionics, we definitely want this, and early science definitely. Well, I don't have to decide right now. So let's see what the what did I want to check? Yeah, the tech rate. $145 for a 1 point. Yeah, I need to start getting science points. But okay, going forward for the sounding rockets, I'm going to try to, even if I don't get as many videos out per week, I'm going to try to just show the highlights of each launch, as well as the airplane missions, and hopefully it won't be too many episodes before we're getting things into orbit. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.